Welcome back, everyone. As you can hear, I probably have a new mic, and you can hear I sound pretty good on this one, so I'm kind of happy and eager to try it out. So we are going to go over a cool new app called Immich. Now, this app's been around for a while. I covered it back in 2022 in a video, but I want to go over a couple new things that have developed. Actually, it's really, really cool. They've done so much work on it. It's crazy that they're actually getting sponsored to work full time on the project by someone called Futo, as you can see on their homepage, and they're actually getting paid full time to make it open source. So that's really, really cool. As you can see, this is basically a Google Photos alternative. So where you can have your videos, photos all in one place. It's obviously heavily developed, but I'll show you just a demo portal of what is possible with this. Basically, if you have a GPU, you're gonna love this in particular. So this is gonna have all your photos load up. You can pre-transcode. I mean, there's gonna be no matter what bandwidth you have. Like I only have 25 megabits upload, and I'm able to view all of my videos in 1080p, no problem. Um, they also have other things like face recognition built in, video recognition built in, people built in. It's a lot better than all the other ones. Like if I go to Explore, as you see, there's people in here. You can select them, and I'll show all the people that are linked under that face. I found this to be the most recommended way to host your Google Photos, and they've come a really long way since 2022. Um, so I'm gonna go over how we can install this, and I'll just show you an example. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is my personal instance. I'm just gonna go over kind of what changed so far. As you can see, there's a lot of settings in here, but the most of it has come through like different add-ons. So one thing is they add is external libraries. So you can add libraries in here externally and load them up. Let's say I have documents in my folder somewhere else that's already been ripped, and I want to rip it to my image and add it to a photo album library. I can just link that library in my Docker Compose, and that will then link to an external library. You can't add to it, but you can add current photos that are in a library that you already have. Let's say you're moving from Google Photos, you want to download your whole thing, put it on here, you can do that. Another thing they have in here is under job settings, we can select transcoding, and we can transcode our videos, pre-transcode them at least, so when we load them, they'll just load on our bandwidth, very light amounts, and our CPU and GPU won't be hit too hard. They have a couple different options, so I always select all in here. I'll go over this when I do the setup, but they have NVENC, QuickSync for all your iGPUs for Intel, VAPI obviously for AMD or other ones, and then they have RockChip SoCs and then just disable. This basically allows us to use basically any GPU that we want to set our transcoding for this server. Some other things they have are if we go to the Immich app, go back to their home page. Hold on. Go back to that. Let's go to Immich. As you see, I go here a lot. If we go into their docs and we go into community projects, there's actually cool things like you can sync albums with your folders, remove offline files. So let's say your files shows it's offline, then it can get removed. iframe if you want to like print out your photos or put them in a slideshow on a digital photo frame. You can create albums from folders. So let's say I want to make a folder. I have a folder named, I don't know, family memories, and I want to make an album out of it. You can have it automatically create that album from an external folder. This is really cool, the duplicator finder. I actually use this because I have a lot of duplicates, and this has helped me a lot fix that duplicate issue. So I don't have, if I accidentally upload 2 or 3 pictures, I can go through that and I can, change that. There's also Image TikTok Remover, which removes, I guess, all TikToks. And you can even have it directly linked to your Lightroom, which is pretty dang cool. There's also community ones, so you can have SSO, database backup if you have it running in TrueNAS, sync folders with albums, so it syncs the folders and imports the libraries into albums. Unraid backup, so if you have unraid and you want to back it up automatically, and then podmin, like if you're running proxmox or whatever, backup quadlets install, so it's a podmin install if you're using TrueNAS or proxmox. That's a good way to know it. So now that we went over that, let's go over the install. So we're going to need 2 things. Oh, and before I get started, I actually want to share something with you guys. So I have actually made my GitHub docs into a actual page using Docosaurus. So all of my tutorials, written ones and non-written, I also have my videos up here as well. I have a couple cool docs on here. I have videos, Cloudflare, DuckDNS, reverse proxies in here. I have my open source tutorials also linked in here. As you can see, the old image that I had loaded before. I have a couple cool docs. I have R self-hosting, which has like all the R apps. Just kind of more uh, bigger link and bigger, like I added a couple extra repositories here that you may not know about. Here's all the support discords in case you don't have those. Under Jellyfin Extras, I have the plugins. This has every plugin known to Jellyfin current to date that I thought was relevant. I have themes on here, so you can pick your themes for Jellyfin as well. Jellyfin add-ons, I should really make a separate video for all this, but this will have like all our Jellyfin add-ons, so stuff that isn't directly linked to Jellyfin, but the third-party repositories, such as Threadfin, Janitor, Reaver, Jellyfin Renamer, Jelly Party, Ersatz TV, and then Jellyfin Players. This has all the players linked in here, so you can just have a one-stop shop for all your links. So we have Kodi, Jellycon, Jellyflut. These are all PC apps. Then we have iPad, iOS and tvOS, Android players, and TV players. So just cool. And I also have all my Docker examples and my image docs are going to be on here for us to look at. So we'll look at those in a little bit. And I have my written tutorials as well up on here on the top under documented tutorials. So it's a cool little doc. There's also a search bar. So if you're looking for something in particular, like let's say image, type that in. We'll see that we'll find a Docker Compose, Docker examples. We'll click on this. Take us right to the image form. So really cool, but let's get started. I listed 2 examples because I haven't set up anything with other ones besides an iGPU and a Nvidia graphics card. But if you have an AMD or a VAPI, obviously this will apply kind of the same, and I'll go over how it applies. But first we're going to need 4 files. So we're going to need our Docker Compose, obviously, which I have linked on the site, and it will be linked in the tutorial below. Then we have 2 things we need to note. So the port obviously is 2283. That's how we'll connect. See this env file? This is what's going to link kind of our folders and everything to our Docker Compose. So as you see here in volumes, there's an external path and an upload location, and they're set just default. Leave these alone because those are actually going to link to our env file, which is pretty cool, and I'll show you that in a second. So I've set this one to NVENC for services. This will have hardware acceleration transcoding enabled for NVENC. So we know that's Nvidia graphics card. That's under Immich microservices. This is basically just saying, hey, we're going to use the NVENC software. You can obviously, if you're on an iGPU or another one, you can select NVENC, QuickSync, RKMPP, which I'm not sure what that is, VAPI, and VAPI WSL. Now, note that if you're on Windows and you have Docker Desktop or a WSL2 setup, don't select that because if you can go into your PowerShell, and if you go into here and you go to your, I don't know, my VM that runs my Docker Desktop, which mine's on Ubuntu 22.04, the one way you can check if your Nvidia graphics card is processing through is type in NVIDIA-SMI. And as you can see, I have my graphics card in here. I recently upgraded to a 2070. I have all the latest stuff. So that is how you can check to see if it's being passed through. If it is, then you can just follow this tutorial as needed. If not, well, I would recommend looking up how to install your graphic drivers for Ubuntu, or checking maybe troubleshooting if you've already done that and it hasn't worked correctly. But we're going to select NVENC because, again, we passed through our GPU. Going down farther, you're going to see this files hardware xl.ml.yml. This is for facial recognition. We're using CUDA because we are in NVIDIA. CUDA links up with NVIDIA. OpenVINO, I think, does iGPUs, so for QuickSync, and ARM or ARM-NN, I'm not sure what it does. OpenVINO WSL, again, we don't need that because we have our pass-through GPU. And again, this env is linking these as well to this, all the files here. So once we have all that, and we've gone through kind of the basics of this all you can leave alone. This is just going to be handled by Docker. Obviously, DB location, this is going to be placed in the env. If we go down here, we're going to go over the env now. And the file name is going to be the top kind of letter in here. So it's going to be .env. Obviously, this is going to be .compose.yml, and these all go in the same folder. Now, we do need to change 2 locations here. So the requirements below change only the upload location and external path. So we're going to only change the external path right here, and the upload location. So I'm going to share an example of mine. So I have my image in my J drive. So I have J, and as you see, I won't have, you will need to make a blank folder for this because, let me see if I can find it. Mine's actually J, Google Photos, and then Image. This is where my library is held. So mine is in J, Google Photos, Image. Obviously, this is an example, but you want to make sure when on first run, your image folder is clear. There's nothing in there, otherwise it can cause issues going on. That's why I have changed to an empty folder. So we're going to do J, Image, and then your external path. So this would be like if you want to add like an extra path. So let me give you an example. Let me load up mine real quick. So for example, if we have an external path, we can, let me just make sure I'm doing this correctly. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so just had to check something. So the external path is always going to be the root folder on where you want your, your files spread. So let's say I want to put an external path for an RA made folder. So let me show you an example. So let's say I have Google Photos and Image. This is my image, but if I want to display, I don't know, Disney World 2022 in there, right? I can do that by just selecting the um, J path and then adding that in my actual Docker Compose, which I'll show you in a second. So this is basically going to change the root directory. So we want to put it as a root directory. So if we have J image, we'll make it J and / and our directory of wherever we want that to pull all the folders for our images from. So for me, it's J Google Photos and J Google Photos image up here. But again, this is just an example. That is really the only thing we have to really change. Now, I'm going to explain this. The hardware excel.mlyml and transcoding.yml, this is just linking the services. So this one is going to link, I think our CUDA core. Let's see, hold on. Yeah, this will link the CUDA for the facial recognition, OpenVival for the iGPU. This is kind of just saying, hey, this is how it links. So if we type in CUDA in our env in our Docker Compose, it's going to say, hey, CUDA. Let me find it real quick. It's going to say, oh, there's CUDA in services. Let's see where I need to pull that from. And it's going to basically directly link it to this hardware excel transcoding.yml and say, oh, CUDA. I'm sorry, not this one. The hardware excel. It's going to say, oh, CUDA. I need that for face recognition. Let's go here and pull this from this link right here. It's basically linking those two together. Same here, nvenc. Oh, hey nvenc, it's gonna talk to the actual other nvenc in our hardware right here, hardware Excel. It's gonna say, oh, hey nvenc, and they're gonna talk to one another and process data through that. So it's just an easier way of linking up all these things instead of putting all this text in there and making your file a million miles, long in general. So once we have these three files named accordingly, it should look something like this. Find mine. I want to go into image. Okay, so it should look something like this. You'll have an env.env, docker compose.yml, and you have hardware hwa ccel.ml.yml and hardware excel.transcoding.yml, just like this. You won't have any of these other things. These are just for examples for purposes sakes of sorting. So you only have those 4 files. Once we have those and we have our Docker Compose ready, we can go into here. And I'm just going to make a separate one real quick for my Nvidia container here. And I'm just going to name it something else for purposes of testing. So we're going to name this Immich 2. I think the rest of this should be fine. Let me check. Let's try this real quick. And yeah, that should be good. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So if you're linking more than one if you want to link like an external file, so one thing I set up was I have my J, so you can have anything you want in here, but you need to, if you want to link an external directory under volumes, you're gonna put the directory you specifically want to link. So for mine, I have let's say my wedding photos, so I have this J Google Photos wedding photos, and then I do a colon, and then this is where it will mount inside the Docker container. So you can put really anything as long as it's /mount media, and then you can just put whatever you want after that. So the last third one, you can put whatever. And then you want to do colon RO for all of them. If you don't do the colon RO, it won't be able to read, obviously. Um, and you want to do this for services, image server, and for image microservice. You have to do it for both, or else you'll get a weird error and it won't link correctly, and it won't show up in your Google Photos. So I'm gonna do this again for mine. In my example compose, pull that up. I'm just gonna do one folder, which is going to be I'll find it real quick and I'll come back. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this one and put it in this one. Oop. And you gotta make sure your spacing is correct, because if it is not, you will obviously get errors. Okay, now that we got that all good, we just gotta do the same thing and paste it in this volume. So we'll just do the same thing over here. All right. Now that that's done, we can run our Docker Compose. So let's do it. I'm gonna go into so again, when you're running Docker Compose, you always gotta be in the directory. So I'm just gonna go to C, tools, Docker, we want Immich, and we're gonna go into my Nvidia because I'm using Nvidia, and we're gonna copy this, and we're gonna paste this, and we're gonna do CD, colon. Oh, let me edit this so it's the right one. God, we can't. Oh wait, no, I can do this here. Okay, gotta do this so the spaces come out right. What's this one? There we go. Okay, and then we're going to now run Docker Compose. Oh. Now, if you're using Docker Compose 2, you can just do Docker Compose up -d. And oh, I got a failed Damien is already in use, so I just need to. So I get this when I have an incorrect. So I already have one running. So all I have to do is change the container server name. We'll just put a 2 in front of it, and we'll put 2 in front of all these. You don't have to do this. The only reason I have to do this is because I already have these services already running. So it's trying to link to something else that is not there. All right. Now it should run. I'll save that. And we will go into here and run it again. Undefined service read does 2. Oh, did I name it? Hold on. Give me 1 second. I always do that. Okay. So if you ever have more than one Docker, just as a note, you can always change it by just changing the container name. If you want to add more than one of the same app, you just change the container name to something else. So that's what I was doing wrong. I had the server name. So we'll try it again, and that should load. And it'll take a minute or two to create and start up. We can check. What does this say? Error response driver failed. Programming. Oh, I have 2283. Let me change my port because I already have this. We'll just do 2284 because I already have my image running. You don't do this. It's just for me. Okay, there we go. Now if we go into our Docker desktop right here, and all we do is click on Immich 2 because it's the one we just created. 2284. Click on that. Oh, it's not loading. Hold on 1 second. Try something else. 228. Oh, you want to know what? It might still be starting up. Hold on. Let's check it. Yeah, it's still running. We'll let it run for a minute. I'll come back when it's run. Okie doke. I'm actually having a really hard time getting it running. I don't know why it's not accepting port 2284, but I'm just going to share my own setup for how I did it. So when you first log in, it'll make you make an administrative account. You type in a username and password. So go ahead and do that. Once you do that, go to administration, and you can, I'm going to blur this out, but you can add emails or users, as many users as you want. I recommend keeping your personal user separate from admin, but again, you can do whatever you want. Under jobs, you'll see that if you have an external library already set up, it will obviously load, but if you haven't set this up, it will probably be blank. So we're going to click create a library, and we're going to add our user. So I'm going to create my own user, and now all we do is click on this 3 little lines, and we click on edit import paths, and we're going to add a path, and we can literally copy and paste what we sent in our compose. So for example, if I want to do this one, I just copy and paste this directory right here. I think that's it. Let me just double check. Hold on. Nope. Add. Nope. That's not it. Oh yeah, this is right. So I already have this in here. Let me, as you can see, I already have this one in here. So I will just edit the import path. So you're going to do the mount. So you're actually going to want to edit. Let me read. So once you have your new library, you're going to click Edit Import Path, and you're going to go into here, and you're going to copy the second part. So the part after the colon. So let's say I want to add Disney World trip. I just click that, click on Edit, and I paste that in and click Save. It's going to tell me it's good with a green check mark. Once that's done, you can click Save. And you can have multiple ones. You can rename it by clicking these three little dots here. Click Rename, unless I want to make this Disney 2022. I'm going to remove this obviously because I have this set up. But once that's done, you can click Scan New Library Files. And under Scan Settings, you can add exclusion to remove or not use certain files if you would like. This I usually don't do because most of my files are already separated. You can also click Rescan All Libraries if you want to do a fresh setup of scans, or Force Rescan if you want to do like a forced of that kind of scan. Once you scan that, it should take a little bit, but it should load. I'm going to delete this because I already have Disney World right here of 2022. That's how we add external files. And then if we go into our settings, we need to now turn on our transcoding. So under machine learning, obviously this looks good. We can enable it. It'll be disabled by default. We can enable face recognition. Again, this will be disabled, I think, by default. You need to click enable. And smart search we need to enable as well, just because that will give us the best results. You can change the logo, obviously, or not login, the external libraries to do a cron job, so it searches automatically. I do a watch file system, just because anytime I add new files, it can see it and pull them automatically out of that folder. But again, that's not needed. It's obviously an experimental, but you know. You can set the maximum or minimum amount of files you want to go at once. So for thumbnails, you know, different smart search concurrencies, face detections, transcode videos, you can change these to certain types. One way to gauge this is to go into your task manager and go into performances. And if you go into your GPU, if you see it's at 41% with one video transcode or these jobs, I would just leave the defaults because those are usually the best for most use case scenarios, just so you know. Image settings, obviously these are the different thumbnails that you can set resolution wise. Pretty simple stuff. I leave literally everything default aside from this is the OAuth. This is if you want to add like a Google Auth or like some kind of SSO. I don't have that enabled. Password authentication. Obviously, you want to log in with email and password because you don't want to leave it to the public unless you're trying to make it a demo site. Then you have your external domain. So if you've already done a reverse proxy for this, it's pretty simple. You just use Caddy or Nginx and you just put your domain in here. And you can put a welcome message so when they log in, they see this. You just put your full domain in here. It should load. Then once you have your reverse proxy set, let's see. You can change the theme too if you want to add custom CSS, like custom, you know, style sheets. Trash, you can set the number of days it deletes, enable trash features or disable. I leave mine for 30 days just because if I delete something, I want to make sure I'm not deleting it and it's gone forever. Obviously, these are priceless memories, so you want to make sure you're backing them up anyways. And then this is the most important, video transcode settings. So you can set this to whatever you want. I had a 1650 Super and I set mine to about, so with Nextcloud Memories, I set it to, I think it was 37. That gives you a pretty good quality. But you don't need to in this one. I mean, it's going to be a little grainy if you do it on like a ultra wide or whatever, but if you're doing it on a phone or a tablet, Nextcloud will have you covered on that, or I'm sorry, Immich will have you covered on that. They will have it looking pretty good on a smaller device. Like for me, if I go into like my videos, duplicate this tab. If I go into my home, if you ever want to go home, you just click the little image. If I want to watch like a video, let's see, let's find a video. If I want to watch a video, for example, this one, as you can see, it's a little grainy.
School.
It's a little messed up.
Posey.
It's a little,
Rosie Posey.
shoot, it's a little rain. If that wants to load, it's probably because I'm recording at the same time. Hold on one second. Okay, for example, if I'm playing this one, as you can see, it's a little grainy on a big screen, but if I do it on my phone, it's usually pretty good quality. So if you usually have like a 2060 or 2070 Super or a 1650 Super or 16 or 1060, normally you can set this a bit higher than 23. I set mine as 23 because that's what it said for H.264. I'm probably gonna bump this up. We'll say like 35. And then the good thing to know about this, once you want to make sure you do this before you run your videos, because if you run your videos after it, you're gonna have to rerun them all over again. So I'm gonna run mine at 35. Presets, you can leave this at ultra fast. It'll just, slower presets, smaller files, increase quality by triggering certain bits. So this is just gonna the compression ratio. You just leave this alone. Audio codec, obviously it's AAC. It's for media that we're shooting on our phones. No phone or most phones shoot in AAC. Video codec, we're just going to leave those at H.264 because it's widely compatible with most devices. It's not an issue. You can accept video codecs, so select which video codecs do not need to be transcoded or only used for certain policies. You can leave this selected as H.264. If you want us to transcode everything, then just make it H2, then just uncheck it. But most devices can play H.264 unless they're like super old. This is going to be set to 720p by default. I bumped mine up to 1080 just because I have a graphics card that can handle it. If you do not have a 1060 or more, I'd recommend keeping this at 720. But again, you choose to do what you want to do. Max bitrate I set at 4500K because again, if you disable and set it to 0, it's just gonna, it's just good again to set it at that. I set it at this because I'm doing it for H.264 and it's just best to set it at this. That's what Immich has told us, so I'm just going off what they tell us. Threads, if you set to 0, it'll maximize utilization. So I keep this at 0. If you do a lot of stuff on your PC, you don't want it to like throttle. You could set this to like 1 or 2 cores, depending on how many cores you have. I personally have a lot of cores. I have, let me see how many I have. Let me go up here. Yeah, I have like 6 cores, 12 logical processes. So I have an AMD Ryzen 5 5600G. So that really doesn't matter to me. And make sure you change transcode policy to all videos because this is important. It'll transcode all your videos and you don't have to worry about it then, going really slow or having issues later on. You can do 2-pass. I keep it off just because it's easier. Hardware acceleration. This is very, very important. This is where we select which hardware we're going to use. So I have a Nvidia GPU, so I keep it as NVENC. If you have an iGPU, keep it as QuickSync. And again, just following my guides, I have not only a Nvidia section, but also an iGPU section for QuickSync. So this will be the same file as here, just that it'll have all the extra NVENC and QuickSync, or I'm sorry, QuickSync and let's see, where's the other one? Where are you? QuickSync and VMMO, I think it was called. Yeah, VMMO. So, or not VMMO. Hold on, where is it? It's in here somewhere. The Open Vino. That's what I was thinking of. Open Vino. So there'll be, you can just literally click on this little copy and copy the whole thing, put in a document, and name it .env. So again, once we're in here, we can, once you set that to the desired one, so again, NVENC is for NVIDIA, QuickSync is for an iGPU, and VAPI is for all others. Obviously, we're only going to be using these two because I don't know any VAPIs and I don't have a working config for those. Constant quality, you can click auto, preferred hardware device, auto, temporal AQ. This will basically make sure that your graphics card increases quality of high detail, low motion scenes. It's basically allowed to work on older devices. So or on newer devices and have a better quality. Obviously, it may not be compatible with older devices. So if you do have an older phone like an S3 or an S4 Samsung, you shouldn't be using that anyways. But if you are, this may not work with it. Tone mapping, we don't have any HDR stuff, so that can just be stay the same. And once we have all that, we can click save. Now I'm going to show you just for presentation purposes. I just changed obviously my constant rate factoring to 35. So if I did that, I'm going to change it to, yeah, well, that'll be fine. You know, yeah, we'll keep it at 35. Once we do that, we go into jobs, and you'll want to do all. When you first load this up, it'll most likely already be doing it for you, but if it doesn't, click all, sync, all, 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 and then this will always already probably be going, but if you want to manage different, how many you want to do, this is what I was talking about where you can change the amount it transcodes. So I have one video at a time. So if I go back into jobs, and I go into videos to reselect it to run the transcode, you just click all. And if you ever add new ones, you can click missing, but you shouldn't need to do this if you set, like I said, that cron job in settings. So under jobs, not jobs, hold on. Is it in jobs? Hold on, I had it in here. Yeah, under external libraries, if you do a periodic scan, um, you shouldn't need to. It should auto find the files and transcode them. Just in case, you can always do that. But I'm going to select all, and I'm going to click on all to retranscode them all. And as you see, it's running through the process now. So this is basically your full one-stop tutorial guide on Immich. So I also want to go over kind of how to use this. So it's pretty cool, but basically let's say I want to make a new album, right? So I'm going to select all these photos from here, and we'll click on add to, and I'm going to click add to an album, and make a new album, and we're just going to call it, it's already there, so we're going to click on view. We give it a title, let's name it, I don't know, I'm horrible at spelling, Carousel? We're just going to put merry-go-round. Merry-go-round. Okay, and we click enter. And let's say we want to share this with someone in our directory. So all we have to do is click on options, and we click invite people. And now we can invite anyone in our friends list that is on the server to this album. Once we do that then, as you can see, if we go to albums then, now I have one from 2024 called Merry-Go-Round. And if I have like a separate one, let's say like this one, if I click on share, I can actually get a direct link. So you don't have to have any users share with it. So you can actually get a link and send it. So click create, get a link. And let's say I want to give them a password to log in. You can just say like, we'll make it link 123. And we click on expire. You can select an expiration date. So you can do 1 day, 7 days, 30 days, 3 months, 1 year. Or you can do never and click create link. Now we can send that to family and friends who want to view the photos and videos on our website. So there's a lot of cool things that make this just like Google Photos, except you're self-hosting it. Another thing we can do is we can check out face recognition. So I'm going to remove this because I do not need this. And if I go into photos, as you can see, there's not many here. But if I go into these favorites, no, sharing, no. Explore, we have people's names, and I'm going to blur out the names down here, but we can link face IDs. And if we want to click on view all, we can actually link certain photos to people. So let's say like we know who this is, we can link it through that. But basically this is a great way to customize and add face recognition, which it does a really good job with facial recognition wise for any of the other self-hosted ones I've used. You can also do it by place, so that it can view the map and say, oh, this map goes here, this one was taken here, this one was taken here. So it's really cool. If you guys have any questions or anything else you want to see on here, let me know. Thanks, guys. All the documentation will be in the description. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you guys have any questions in the future or comments, I always try to respond as quick as possible. We have our Discord you can always reach out to us for. It's right here. If you pull it up, hold on. I'm always active on here, so if you want to check out our Discord, we have a general, troubleshooting, off topic. If you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, please post them there. Alright, thanks guys. Have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you enjoyed it.